Hi, I'm Jim. Welcome back. Part 2 of my series of rebuilding my carburetors on my Rotax 912, the Bing constant depression carburetors. The first part, I took them apart. I didn't show cleaning them up. I pretty much just used, choke cleaner, the last of the throttle body cleaner, some Scotch-Brite, and a toothbrush. One thing before we get going any further, I'll point out, the two castings are identical in terms of castings, the two sides, and it's just a question of which sides they machine, where they put things like the pickup for the enrichment. So you gotta be careful you don't get parts mixed up right to left, like the float bowls. They're mirror images. You're the same casting, but one of them they plug this one and leave that one open and have a jet in the bottom, and the other's the other way around. So yeah. So that one goes back here. This one goes with that. Okay, yeah. So those two go together. And I'm going to start from the bottom. Put that into camera range. First part is this diffuser that takes air in and puts it around the needle jet. This side goes up in the carburetor, but since I have the carburetor upside down, its side goes down. Next is the actual needle jet. Be careful that you get the right. When I ordered the overhaul kit that had all the wear parts, these were separate. I had to order them separate. So, and that goes in. This end goes in first, and this end goes in first, and the needle goes in that way, and it goes through that diffuser, which is not sitting in place. Yeah, there it is. You can see it poking through, I hope. That should drop in. Okay. I can't tip it far enough to see on the camera, but that's in place. That was the needle jet. The mixing tube and main jet are next. Again, the main jet has the size on it, so does the needle jet. Okay, so this is the main jet and the mixing chamber, they call it. Fresh O-ring. I put just a little bit of white grease on that to lubricate it. In this carburetor, when I tried to unscrew the main jet, the whole assembly came apart, so I'm not going to mess with that. That's snug. Okay, so I got the needle and the lever for the float arm. That little inky clip is holding the needle in place. I can just set those together as a unit. I've got the pivot pin here. One, put the I put that in upside down, didn't I? Ha! So we got the needle and this little clip that likes to get lost. And I've got the... So this is going to go that way. Don't put it in upside down. It would help if I could see. Okay. So it looks like we want to hang it from the clip and then set it into place. Yeah, that worked. And I also ain't no A and P, but you knew that if you've ever seen any of my other videos. Slide that through, and a little squink with a pair of pliers. Okay. That's flush on this end. That should be good. Okay, so now if you caught the last video, the tool to check the height of this lever is 80 bucks. I don't have the dimensions of the tool, but I did with my height gauge measure from here to here, and I came up with 11.5 millimeters. So that's what I'm going to check now, and that's just a number based on measuring my existing carburetor. So let's go over to a flatter surface and see what we can do. So when I originally did this, I measured from this surface here, the casting top, and went down, it was 11.5 millimeters on average approximately to the existing float arm levels. If I measure from here, because I think that's where that tool seats that you get from Rotax for 80 bucks, it's just a little piece of metal with a flat hole with a hole in it. That's another, let's see, I'm getting 6.18. Let me slide it down here. That's 0, 6.2. So measuring down from here would be 17.7 millimeters down to the float. Bring that down to 0. And that's, it's close to where the other one, 0.06 millimeters from the other carburetors. That's not bad. So from there, and if I slide it down, I go to 11.5. Okay, and I am quite a bit different. Okay, so that's nowhere near. That's off by a lot. Double check my 0. That's my 0. Yeah, that's 0. And right there, I got 9.7 instead of 11.5. And when I look at it this way, it looks uphill, like it's too high. So I'm thinking I got to tweak that. That's where I want to be. Let me bring the camera around so you can see the difference. There. Okay, so you can see the difference when I come down the same distance from this surface right here. Okay, because that's the surface. Yeah, I chewed that up trying to get the jet loose so I could measure from the top here. So from that surface, come down 11.5 millimeters. You can see where I land on, instead of landing on the top here, I land halfway down. So I'm going to bend that to match what I had, to match with where the floats were before. I think that's right, because then I also think when I do this, that's pretty obviously not level, okay? It's got a pretty good slope to it, so I think that's the right thing to do. Okay, so I bent this center tab here. Essentially, it's pretty crude. Just tucked a screwdriver in here and pried that up a little bit. But now when I bring this in, make sure it's seated. Okay. Now if it would focus, we'd be all set, right? There we go. That is just kissing. And if I swing it around, It's just kissing that, and that looks a lot closer to level to me. I'm going to declare a success there and just ignore where I boogered that up. Now, yeah, I wanted to get the dimension from up here because that would match the dimension from that gauge, but I don't have the gauge, so I guess what was the point? So, if you got one of those gauges and you want to measure the depth of the hole, that'd be cool, but anyhow, that's what I did. So, main's in, this is in idle jet and mixing tube, kerplunk. That's snug. Put the idle mixture adjust screw in. Spring goes in first. Then the needle jet, and again there's grease on that O-ring, just a thin film. And I'll run it in until it just touches. There, and we'll back out 1/2, 1.5 turns. That'll be my starting point. Okay, so I'm just putting a real thin film of white grease on this. Just make it a little bit on the sticky side. And I can set it on here and it fits down in that groove. Tuck it in the groove all the way around. Now it shouldn't fall out. Floats are in there. And we should. Got to get this into that hole. That hole. It's hard to see what's on camera. Okay, that was easy. And then the bail. One side. So I could have done this first. Two sides. And snap that up there. I'll safety wire that later. Okay, that's that. When I'm all done, I'll look at all the parts I have left over and see. Okay, so I guess next is the enrichment. So I've got the cover. I need a gasket. That is the green O-ring. That's what that green O-ring is for that choke disc. I'm gonna peel this O-ring out, put the new one in. Where am I? Here I am. So I'll change O-rings here. I'll do that off camera. Okay, so I got the new O-ring on, a little coat of light grease. I don't know if you can pick it up in the camera or not, but there's a dimple on one end of this. That dimple goes towards the lever, which is on this side. Let me double check that. Okay, so you see the dot is on here, and that is on this side, which is opposite the throttle. So the dot goes to the side, throttle's here, so the dot goes to this side. Cover can go on. Now let me wiggle this in like this. Okay. Okay. 4 screws. in this box, and some of them are kind of cruddy. There it is, okay. These are kind of cruddy. I'm going to clean these up a little bit, and then I'm going to put them in with a drop of Loctite so they don't corrode more. Okay, for whatever reason, this is in two parts. Let me just put a dab of grease behind it, just on general principles. There's that, and then there's this, which goes this way with this down, so the spring can hook up there. I'm not sure why that's in two parts like that. There's a little bit of washer and a nut. Doesn't feel right. There we go, that's better. Okay. And I got the dot here on this side, so that's that. Now we can start with the piston and piston assembly. Okay, I think I got video of this going together, I think. Between me, my incompetence forgetting to press play, and I'm recording this on my phone. You know, the phone overheats, battery goes low. It's a miracle that anything gets done. Anyhow, so you can see this tab here, right? There is a similar tab somewhere on the inside, and then in here you can see there's a notch. Well, that lining up the tab and the slot is what gets this oriented properly in the carburetor. So you have to put the tab and the slot on the inside, which I think I recorded, and this tab in this slot on up here, which I'm hopefully recording right now. So get the needle in the needle jet, set it down, and I was watching it as it went down, but there's the tab and the slot, you can see it. Okay, I think that's right. Double check down here, and it looks good straight in the bore. Don't forget the springy dinghy. And I got the two screws. And this goes this way because this is where the cables attach. I am going to put a drop of Loctite on these screws. Back in the olden days, I used to ride a motorcycle year-round here in Michigan, even in the winter. And I'll tell you what, getting the steel screws out of the side cases of the aluminum, the die-cast side cases and stuff was a chore at best. But what helps a lot is to put a drop of Loctite on the screws, and it's the normal thread locker, medium. It's not so strong that you can't unscrew it, but it seals up the threads so they don't corrode. So the screws don't fall out, but next time you need to take them out, you can get them out with a straight up screwdriver. Win-win. Not as big a problem on an airplane because you don't expose it to the ice and salt and crap that they put on Michigan roads, but I don't know. If nothing else, it keeps these screws from backing out while I'm flying, which is a good thing, right? Okay, so I think I've got everything together. Let's do the initial set of the throttle plate, the idle stops for the mechanical synchronization. Really, that's the first step in the carb sync. So we go from the heavy maintenance manual to the line maintenance manual to, I got a whole stack of documents about floats and setting this and doing that and service bulletins. Yay, Rotax. Okay, strictly speaking, this is part of the carb sync and not the disassembly maintenance, but whatever. You want to back the idle adjustment screw off till it doesn't touch anymore. There's 2 turns. Yeah, okay, it's not touching, so I can... So the throttle plate is closed in the board. You don't have to go gorilla holding it closed in the board. Gently is nice, And I take a 0.1 millimeter or 4/1000ths of an inch feeler gauge and slide it in here. It actually might be easier to do on the airplane because then you wouldn't have to hold the carburetor. So that's a little loose. Okay, now I can feel it drag. Oh no, I was just going in crooked. No, it's okay. Definitely dragging. Okay, so I think that's about the point where it's... No, okay, see, look at this. This sticks up, so if you come in this way, you get a false reading. Okay. Hopefully this is in camera. Okay, so I'm trying to come in. I'm avoiding coming in this way because this is not flush with that stop. But I'm trying to come in straight and... Okay, so I got the screw turned down to where I'm starting to feel a little drag. Yeah, definitely there. Now I'm getting a little picky, I think. Okay, good enough. So I have 1 millimeter or 4/1000ths. Gently turn each idle, no, it's idle mixture screw. Turn each idle speed adjustment screw 1.5 turns clockwise. So that's a righty-tighty, so that's 1/2, 1, 1.5, and I'll do that to the other carb. And they also want you to set this 1.5 turns from snug, but I already did that. Or they do use the word gently turn each idle mixture screw until fully inserted. Okay, I think that's it for carb assembly. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it at least entertaining, watching me bumble around and catch you later.